Good evening and welcome. We're back. You are watching the Zone Blitz. We are the weekly webcast produced by NFL Female. This is our first show back from the holidays. We were going to come back last week, but things didn't work out that way. We took a little bit of an extended holiday, Sonja, but I enjoyed it. How were your holidays?
My holidays were very good. Had family around, so that is always good with family around. You can never go wrong for the most part. No, I'm teasing. But no, we had a good holiday. How was you guys? Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, happy 2015 to everyone. We're joined tonight by Leora, who is our official Broncos fan reporter for NFL Female, and Gwen, who is our official Ravens fan reporter for NFL Female. I'm Sharona, by the way. I'm the official Titans fan reporter for NFL Female. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Sonja, who is the official fan reporter for the Detroit Lions. And I am the odd one out. My team is the only team that did not make it to the playoffs. So I'm going to toss it over to Sonja and let her kick off the playoff talk and bring in our two lovely guests.
Okay, well, like Sharona said, I'm Sonja. I'm the official fan reporter for the Detroit Lions for NFL Female. And, Sharona, you might have been the odd one out that you didn't make the playoffs, but we're all sitting on the couch right now watching the playoffs on TV.
Well,
so, hey,
I'll drink to that.
Yes. Oh, goodness. So, yeah, the Lions went on a nice little run there, and we played the Cowboys, and we all know how that ended up. But I'll get into that a little bit later.
We're definitely going to talk some officiating at the end of the show. A lot of controversial calls and non-calls in the playoffs this year.
Lots. But, like I said, we'll get into some playoff talk in just a little bit. Leora, why don't you tell us hi and, where we can find you, all that good stuff.
Yes, I'm Leora. I'm the official fan reporter for the Denver Broncos for NFL Female. You can find me on Twitter at LeoraKitty78, and I'm still just trying to recover and absorb the drama that has been the last 48 hours for those of us in Broncos country.
Really? My goodness.
It has been
absolutely crazy.
For a team that has been so successful over the past few years, a lot more drama than what you might expect.
Yeah, an overhaul of this kind is not typical of a team that won the AFC West 4 years straight. So I don't know what's going on. I have to have faith in, John Elway, number 7, he knows what he's doing. But it'll be interesting to see what unfolds over the next several weeks. So I'm just still trying to wrap my head around all of it. So
Exactly. I was about to say, I bet your head is still spinning. Mine is.
I know.
Oh, goodness.
Yep.
And then we have, last but certainly far from least, is Miss Gwen, our Ravens fan reporter. Why don't you tell us hi and where we can find you, all that good stuff.
Hello, I am Baltimore Ravens reporter for NFL Female. My name is Gwen. You can find me on Twitter at Gwen2475. And I just have to say to Leora, stay away from Gary Kubiak.
We were talking about Gary Kubiak off camera. We're going to talk about Gary Kubiak.
Yes, we will.
We are definitely going to talk. There's going to be a lot of poaching going on. Too bad we don't have our Arizona Cardinals OFR on tonight because they're getting ready to lose Todd Bowles. There's no doubt in my mind but that he's going to get a head coaching position, and it looks like it might be with the Falcons. So, we'll get into that a little bit later. Sonja, I want to start with you because talking with the playoffs, how disappointing is it to have the incredible season that the Lions have and to have it come down to really two very controversial officiating decisions in that game?
It was really tough and it was really kind of hard to stomach at the time. And, you know, a lot of our Twitter, like Detroit Lions Twitter, just kind of exploded, you know, not Calvin Johnson, no, that was other game, sorry.
Well, yeah, that one too. I mean, there's a long list.
There is a long list, but kind of how it just relates is that, you know, this is just something that happens to our franchise. And, you know, we've been going about saying, you know, Detroit versus everybody because it kind of seems that way. And so, you know, to come down to a call, okay, fine, calls get overturned all the time, but there's at least an explanation. And I think that was the hardest part, is that we never did get a true explanation. We got calls during the week, you know, from the league office. Oh, by the way, we missed this call, and we missed that call, and we missed this call. And it's like, okay, but
what about that one?
Exactly. It's not that call. And number two, it's not getting us, you know, you're not going to call Dallas and be like, okay, you guys got to switch, and Dallas goes home, Detroit goes to Seattle. You know, no.
Well, they got their own screw jobs, so, you know.
They did. But then, you know, also, you just have to look back and say, there were a couple controversial calls, but in the end, it just came down to the fact that Detroit stopped executing, and I think that's kind of our problem. Is the Lions' problem, is that, you know, they just kind of stopped executing at some point. And, you know, should they have gone for it on 4th and 1? Yeah, but once again, at the time, they had the lead. And, you know, our punter had been doing a pretty decent job until he decided to shank it, you know.
Punters, man.
Exactly. Punters are people, too. I get that. But at the same time, you know, so hindsight's 20/20, and, you know, you can't really say, but... And in the end, you guys, we all know that Brandon Pettigrew won't go and catch that ball anyway. So.
Well, you know, I mean, come on.
I know.
Why are you going to throw it at him anyway?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You know, Golden Tate, I don't even think was on the field on that series, you know, for that set it down. So it's just come on. What were we thinking? I don't know, but...
Our twerking buddy was on injured reserve. He would have caught the ball.
He would have caught the ball. He'd have caught the ball. But either way, you know, too mad at this team. It was 11. We finished 11-5. Weren't expecting that to happen at all. We did have some lucky breaks that last year's Lions, even teams before then, wouldn't have, you know, won. So all in all, I was very proud of our team, and you know, I think Coach Caldwell did a great job. These guys did a great job this year, and Golden Tate's my MVP. So yeah, it was a pretty good year looking back.
All right. I want to turn to Gwen, but Sonja, be thinking about this, because we're gonna turn to this in a little bit once we get through with some playoff synopsis. What can the Detroit Lions take from this season and use to build on it for next year, and even, you know, in the years to come? And we'll come back to that. Gwen.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that the ball? It seems weird to me to say this, but I think that there's some truth here. That the Baltimore Ravens overachieved this season when you consider their injury situation, when you consider the Ray Rice situation. I think that you have to look at what they accomplished and say, even though they were eliminated, that was a successful year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super proud of them. It just goes to show you that after we had to hear last year about there's no leadership with Ray Lewis gone and there's no leadership with Ed Reed gone, as much as I love those two, there's leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't have to be in a pre-game, who let the dogs out crap.
Right. No. Yeah. Quiet leadership.
Yeah. Have Joe Flacco, who is not a Hollywood guy, who's just like, let's go out and win this bleeping game, and that's that. And that's all he has to say. Mm-hmm. And he's also, from what I have heard from Torrey and other guys, that he's not going to call you out like some other quarterbacks will, like after the game or whatever. He'll pull you aside and he'll talk to you personally. There's leadership right there. You have Torrey, who kind of led everyone with the whole Ray Rice thing. And then you have a Steve Smith who kind of tried to give that fire back that we
The
lost.
tone. Steve Smith sort of set the tone. He's a tone setter.
Yeah, he is.
So with 19 on the injured reserve and just the Ray Rice situation and everything, it's just ridiculous how far they got. And our horrible secondary. So it is what it is. It sucks that we lost to Tom Brady because it's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I'm proud of how far they got.
We're gonna talk to you about that. You didn't have, or did you? Maybe we should ask you this. Any controversial calls in your games, or non-calls that you thought affected it?
I don't think so. I think we were fine. I think what people were pissed about after the game was that last Hail Mary throw, and of course Torrey didn't go up for it strong enough, and why didn't he do this, and why didn't he do that? We could have gotten a touch. So of course it was all Torrey's fault.
All right, but there are,
it's just ridiculous. So
50 plays that also make a difference too.
But he didn't play on the defense and give up 14 points twice.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't think there was any controversial calls at all. And the whole trick play thing.
Illegal formation. Ineligible receiver, I'm sorry.
Man, the Patriots do seem to find favor.
They find a way to win, and it might piss you off, but if it is what it is.
Yeah. I think Bill Belichick is the best coach in the National Football League. I'm not sure that it's even particularly close. So you really have to give it up to him. We're going to talk coaching too, later on, and I know Gwen's got a lot to say about her offensive coordinator, Gary Kubiak. We're going to ask you that same question too, Gwen. What can the Baltimore Ravens do? What can they take from this season and use to build on for next year and in the years to come? But a good way to talk about that coaching segue is to bring in our Broncos reporter, because so much drama surrounding a team that has been super duper amazingly successful for the past 4 or 5 years, Leora.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm still trying to absorb what's been going on over the last 48 hours. That the game was, I don't even know what to say. That it was.
Well, let's talk about Peyton first. Let's talk about Peyton first. It was pretty clear through the season that Peyton wasn't right.
Right.
And it was a big topic of conversation. Peyton's 38 years old. Father Time is undefeated. He possibly has a torn quad that came out the next day following their elimination from the playoffs. Is Peyton's body starting to make his decisions for him, Leora?
Yes, I do. He was in Peyton form for the first half of the season, and then that Rams game, that horrible game where we got slaughtered. He suffered an injury, and I'm still trying to understand why the severity of the injury was kept secret. Nobody, well, at least none of the fans, maybe the coaching staff, maybe a few people knew the severity of the injury, that it was a torn quad, and that he was playing on that torn quad for 6 weeks, which now totally explains his performance through December.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you knew that there was something there.
And I was trying to figure it out for the whole month. I'm like, he's playing flat-footed. He's not connecting to his receivers. He's either grossly underthrowing, or overthrowing all of his passes. He doesn't look comfortable, in the pocket. What is going on? And it's unfortunate to hear that it was that severe, and that they didn't do any. I feel like they didn't take care of their quarterback. He shouldn't have been, in my opinion. I was talking to my husband about this earlier. I understand we were trying to lock up that second seed try to get that first round bye. But we had the AFC West locked up at the beginning of the month. Why didn't we rest Peyton the last few weeks? Give him more time to heal and get him ready for the playoffs. Brock Osweiler needs to have an opportunity to get out there and do some stuff and show people that he is the future of this team, and that if he isn't, we need to come up with something else, because I don't even know if Manning's coming back. I honestly, I don't think he is.
I don't know if his body is going to allow him
to come back.
And I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, and you ladies, other ladies, feel free to jump in here too. But I think Peyton's brain tells him, and his will and his heart tells him that he can still do this. But I don't think that his body is going to allow him to.
So you think it's more him that kind of makes that decision, like, oh, I'm playing anyway, and the coaches just kind of listen to that, and nobody really. Kind of like a RG3 kind of.
RG3, yeah.
Absolutely, and I think he underscored it, and I don't even know if Adam Gase, the offensive coordinator, knew how bad the injury was. I don't know. It's all speculative at this point. I mean, everything's so. The rumors are driving me crazy right now.
I can imagine.
It's just driving me nuts. But the thing is he's made it pretty clear that if Adam Gase goes, that he's probably going to go. He has he has a lot of chemistry.
But where's he going to go?
I think he might retire. I think what he'll do is I think he'll retire as a Colt. I think that's where he wants to hang his hat. Give him a one-day contract. I don't know, but I don't see him coming back. From last I heard, he's on a fishing trip with Eli right now. In that, he booked it. Like the next
Lord,
day, he was
to be a fly on that wall.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh! So Elway had his season-ending press conference today, and said that he will discuss the future of Manning with the Broncos in 4 to 5 weeks. And I'm like, okay, what about the coaching situation? Are we just, I was talking to my husband about that, or are we just going to hang tight for 5 weeks, or has a decision already been made? They're just not saying anything yet.
I think a decision's been made.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many what ifs, and there's so many different scenarios. I don't know. I just wish I wish none of this had happened. I don't know.
Well, of course you wish none of it had happened.
Well, you would have loved to have seen Peyton get another ring. And
absolutely.
He was set up for that kind of success with the Broncos, and had it not been for the injury. And I wanted to ask you too, what do you think of the performance of your so-called lockdown cornerback?
Chris Harris? Well,
Chris Harris definitely is.
Right, but are we talking Talib? Aqib Talib, yes. Right? Okay. He probably had the worst performance of his career, and it was at the absolute worst possible time. And I have to ask, the coaching staff, why would you team him up with T.Y. Hilton? Why didn't they make the correction during halftime and move Harris to T.Y. Hilton and have Talib cover? Was it Fleener? I don't remember. Yeah. So I have no idea. It was, I don't know. It was just a really bad performance. I was very, very disappointed in how he played. So.
What do you see his future being with the Broncos?
I think he's gone. I think we already secured a contract with Harris, which is great. So and I definitely want to make sure Von Miller stays and that we keep T.J. Ward, but I don't know about Talib. He didn't put forth the kind of performance this season that he should have, given what was given to him by the team. So I don't see him coming back.
Do you see DeMarcus Ware being a Bronco next year?
I haven't even thought about it. There's just, like I said, there's
so much to think about.
There is, but I think where you're going to see the massive overhaul is going to be on the offensive line. Our defense did the absolute best they could, except for Talib, to keep the Broncos in the game. The score was, 13-24. It could have been way worse. We did get a fumble.
True.
We got 2 interceptions. Of course, we didn't pressure Luck that much. I didn't really see Von Miller hardly at all during the game, and I don't know if that was him or if that were the coaches telling him, to run a different route or cover somebody different. I don't know. I think the coaches didn't have a game plan. I think that there should be a rule in place that if your team is in the playoffs, that you can't be asking to interview the coaching staff. I'm upset that Gase would have 4 interviews during the bye week, and that Del Rio's out schmoozing with the Raiders while we're trying to prepare for a playoff game. There was no game plan, and it was very obvious that the coaching staff, their minds were elsewhere. And I think that's why Elway's like, that's it. I'm done with all of you. Obviously you guys weren't here. You weren't focused. You weren't committed to the Broncos, to right now, to this football game. That's it. I'm out.
I think that's a fair point,
Yeah.
I do think that you have to, and obviously it's allowed. They're on a bye and all of that, but yeah, it's a tough situation. Definitely a tough situation. Now, obviously, we haven't even really talked about this, but you mentioned it. Elway is completely cleaning house, and there are going to be a lot of changes with the Broncos, and one of the big names to keep an eye out for is Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator Gary Kubiak. He seems to be a favorite for the position.
I think that if Elway made the phone call and said, "Koob, I need you back," I think he would seriously consider it. I know that he made the official statement that he was staying with the Ravens, but he made that statement before the Broncos lost. He made that statement before, John Fox was let go, or the mutual decision to part ways, whatever the case may be. And the Broncos officially requested permission from the Ravens today to interview him. So I think the push is definitely there. I would have to say that he's on the top of Elway's list. And then or Dan Quinn from the Seahawks, but I know everybody wants Dan Quinn. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But again, it's all, are they going to find a coach that's is going to help Manning for a year and then whatever, or are they going to look for a coach that's going to help a new quarterback? There's so many different ways that this whole thing can shake out.
What is the feeling within the Ravens? Oh, we lost Leora.
I was about to say, then we lost Leora.
What is the feeling within the Ravens fan base about Gary Kubiak and whether he might leave?
People are starting to panic now. Yesterday,
panic mode.
Of course.
Yesterday,
The sky is falling. The sky is falling.
Right.
Sorry, it crashed on me. I'm back.
Twitter exploded when he said, "I would like to stay here," and I thought it was just for the year that we've had and the reputation that our organization had for the whole Ray Rice thing and all the handling of it. For him to say, "Me and Coach Harbaugh have something really special here that we wanted to," and I was like, "That's awesome! I want this guy. This guy knows."
It is, there's nothing like
fuzzy.
a guy who wants to be there.
Right.
Yeah, because I just have this conversation. I was like, do they all want to be head coaches? He's really good at just being this one.
I do think that he is better suited to be an offensive coordinator.
Yep.
So,
I definitely think that.
We shall see.
And I think Harbaugh came out and said, I know that we had this conversation, but I understand other things happen. So I think the organization would probably be like, okay, whatever. He's going to get crucified by the fans because that's what we do. But, yeah, it was all rainbows and kittens yesterday. It's panic.
Sunshine and
Yeah, a lot of movement now among the coaching ranks. Rex Ryan, recently fired by the New York Jets, is the new head coach of the Buffalo Bills. We're going to have to get Kristen and
I've been wanting to
Ashley.
get one of the Bills girls on here to talk about
We'll
that
have
whole
to get
Doug
we'll have to
Marrone
get them back
situation.
on to talk about that. I think that's a big hire. Obviously, the Atlanta Falcons are looking for a new head coach. There are positions in other areas. The Arizona Cardinals are likely to lose their defensive coordinator, so there could be, an opening there. What to your mind has been the most shocking of the coaching changes so far? Sonia, let me start with you.
Shocking would have been Doug Marrone. Just, for him to just kind of, okay, I'm out. Bye. Yeah. I think that was probably the most shocking one of all. And then John Fox, the whole Broncos situation, that's probably number one is Bills, Doug Marrone. Number two is John Fox and the Broncos situation. That I didn't see the whole thing exploding like it was. And, Leora giving me a little bit more of an insight as to that. But it makes a little bit more sense now. But I still didn't see that coming up at all.
What about you, Leora? It has to be the Broncos, right?
My entire team is imploding as we speak, so I would have to say definitely the Broncos has been the most shocking. But right behind that, the Bills. I thought that they had an improved season, so I was really surprised to see that he just walked away. So they never really explain why. So I'm wondering what happened with all of that. But yeah,
Gwen, what about you?
I think the Rex Ryan move, just because he had such a crappy couple of years in New York, and apparently he's gotten quite a nice raise a year. I didn't really see the contract thing, but I heard that he's getting paid well to go there. I think that's about it. Tomorrow, if Gary Kubiak goes to the Broncos, that's going to be my number one shocking thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Please don't hate me. If that happens.
Anything
oh, goodness.
You can't hate.
Yeah, it's very strange. The Jim Harbaugh thing still is shocking to me, too.
You know what?
That the Niners would choose to make that move. And then, but to me, it's got to be the Doug Marrone thing, because there doesn't seem to be a plan there. I mean, his contract was guaranteed, so he's getting paid regardless. But from a career standpoint, that does not seem to be a very smart career move. Gwen, do you think?
No. What really was going on for you to just bye? There's just so many. I don't.
For you to just pack up and leave and be like, all right, well, guys, this has been fun. You gotta go.
Yeah.
Talked about not even whispers of there's something going on in the locker room or in those behind the scenes. So either he's just having some personal issues, or they kept that real quiet really well, which is impossible these days.
And then, it's not like Rex Ryan is coming into a whole bunch of some stability. Their defense was improved, but what are they going to do with the quarterback situation? There's a lot going on, and, he didn't really have a grasp.
Kyle Orton retired.
Yep.
He and Kyle Orton were so close, right?
Exactly. Oh, goodness. So, you just kind of wonder. I mean, he wasn't able to help the quarterback situation in New York, obviously. And so what are we going to do here? He's already inheriting a great defense. Their offense, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I always wondered what the Bills' end game was. I mean, obviously they wanted to make the playoffs, but going with Kyle Orton over E.J. Manuel seemed to me to be, I don't know. And there were opportunities for them to get E.J. some playing time when, it would have been a good opportunity, and they didn't, they didn't do that. So, yeah, that division is going to be fun to watch. Now, the Jets have not made a hire yet. I don't think the Niners have made a hire yet.
No, they haven't.
No, they're going after Gase. So I anticipate that's where Gase will end up. He will end up with the 49ers. I know that Elway is interviewing to try to give him the head coaching job, but I think that's just semantics at this point. But he's going to the 49ers. I mean,
I don't get the Adam Gase love. I
don't
do you get this?
No.
If you were in charge of the San Francisco 49ers, would you put mamby-pamby Adam Gase in charge of them?
No, not at all.
I mean, he's going to get eaten alive. He's going to get eaten alive in that situation. There's no question in my mind.
Yeah, that would be a complete culture change. I mean, I don't really think it was a culture that hurt them. I don't really know what that whole thing was, but not somebody. They're strong personalities. There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, apparently Jed York just wants a puppet, right?
Yes, and I don't think Adam Gase is that person. And, obviously Jim Harbaugh wasn't that person, so yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, it will be fun to watch and see what happens there. The Atlanta Falcons, it looks like they are narrowing in and going to make a huge push for Todd Bowles, who is the defensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals. If they can swing that, I like that hire. Sonja, what do you think?
No, I do like that hire. I think Todd Bowles has done a pretty good job. He has, made a name for himself, especially in Arizona, doing a good job there. So I think that he can go help and spruce up that defense out there in Atlanta and possibly even be get Atlanta to be a contender. And I'm also excited if they do hire him, because that means that Terrell Austin stays here in Detroit, which I want.
Yeah, there's some people feeling for him, too. Yeah, his name's been out there in the mix.
I know, and I want him to stay so bad. So
now, he
bad.
came from the Steelers, right?
No, actually, he came from the Ravens. He
Ravens,
was
okay.
their
Now, see,
secondary coach, I think.
I couldn't remember if it was Steelers or Ravens. Gwen, what are your thoughts on Terrell Austin?
Well,
I'll just let it all hang out, honey. Come on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it could work. They do need help, and I think their defense is strong. Maybe we could have used them back here for our secondary. I don't know.
I know, but I have loved what he's done with that Detroit defense. So hopefully we get to keep him. Hopefully he does not. I mean, good for him for getting opportunities to interview, and I'm happy for that. Yeah. But I'm selfish. I want him to stay.
Sonja, who's your secondary coach now? It's not Marcus Robertson still, right?
No, and I can't remember who it is. Secondary. Now I gotta look that up because you're gonna make me think. Hang on.
Well, speaking of former Lions, Titans, and Bears, Jim Schwartz, another name that does. The last I heard, and I've been kind of in and out on sports-related stuff, but the last I heard, he was done in Buffalo. Has that been made official?
I think so.
Yeah. I think he was told to clean out his stuff. So, yep.
All right.
But I thought he
the next one.
asked him if he wanted to come back, and he said he didn't want to return. So I don't think it was an official firing. I don't know. We needed Kristen on here if we're going to ask this question.
Yeah, we definitely do. It's curious. It does not sound like to me they were looking at him as a head coach, and maybe that's the deal. He was like, if you're not even going to give me that courtesy, I'm out.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, if he had been considered head coach, he would have been one of the first Detroit Lions coaches, ex-head coaches, to become a head coach, because pretty much once you're coach of the Detroit Lions and you get fired or you're done, you ain't ever going to head coach again. Just saying.
That's pretty true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I hadn't really thought about it, but now that you mention it.
Yep. Yep, you go on to be a really good second, or really good coordinator or something like that.
All right.
Marinelli.
Let's return back to the question that I posed to you guys earlier. Before we talk about these controversial officiating calls and what the NFL can possibly do to prevent that, let's talk about what your teams. I know, Leora, that your team is. There's still so many questions, but for the most part, there's a core group of players that are going to return. Gwen, I want to start with you. What can the Baltimore Ravens take from the 2014 season and build on and work toward the future?
Well, we definitely need just to revamp the entire secondary. When we get Jimmy Smith back, I think that's going to be wonderful. It was a huge loss with him this year. And we had a bunch of guys that were basically like hanging out watching TV, and then we called up and been like, what's up? You want to come play football on Sunday? So that needs revamping. Obviously, the offensive line is just – I thought we have strong weapons. I mean, you have Justin Forsett, who wants to come back, and they want him to come back. So I hope they do him right. He just got –
I was going to ask you about him.
Yeah, he wants to come back. John Harbaugh wants him back. I just hope that, I don't know. In my little special world, in my head, I'm like, well, we gave you a chance, and it worked, so you should stay here. What if all these other people, actually see it and they want to offer him all this money? I don't know. Maybe you want to go where the money goes. But now, and I just saw today that he, because somebody got injured, and I can't remember who. Now he's going.
Arian Foster.
Right. So now he's going to the Pro Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest question, I think, on our D-line, Pernell McPhee, who has been kind of like the all-star that you didn't hear about. He's probably going to get a lot of money somewhere, even though I think he would like to stay. But we have Rodinata with a big tax that is not going to allow that probably. And, of course, the big thing, Steve Smith, he's not going anywhere. They don't want him to go anywhere. And Torrey Smith is probably a huge story, too, because he wanted to stay, but he didn't have the season that he wanted, and just, that would be my biggest problem. You'll have to talk me off the ledge. But, yeah, I think we have strong weapons. We have a lot of really good young guys that you can depend on and just kind of switch in and out. So it was just that secondary that just needs to be consistent.
What do you see in the future for Matt Elam?
Well, Harbaugh, I guess he doesn't talk about his players at press conferences, but he kind of was praising him today. There was part of the press conference today, so I don't know. I don't know if he's going to lose. He kind of was going back and forth with losing his starting position this year, so once they revamp that and they get some new guys in there, he might end up losing it altogether. So, he was so bad. He was so
Yeah, he definitely struggled this season. Obviously, C.J. Mosley had a fantastic year and is a guy that fans can be super excited about in the years to come. How much better can that guy get, though?
Well, he said, I did okay. I'm going to get better. That's what he said about. I was like, really? Be a little bit more humble. But I love that he's so young and he's like, I can get better. I didn't do everything right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you definitely want to see that. And he does come across as, real humble, just an all-around great guy. And
I mean, he's learning from the best. I mean, we don't need a much bigger. We got Terrell Suggs. That's a huge personality. He's learning from Haloti Ngata. There with Pernell McPhee. We may lose Chris Canty because he might retire because he's had so many injuries. So we'll see. But, I mean, the kid's great. I mean, you really can't say much about it. It's great.
Leora, what about let's talk about the core players. C.J. Anderson, A great find for the Broncos. Still some great young talent on that team. Even though things look a little bit dim right now, the future's bright for the Broncos.
It is. It's still so uncertain that I really don't know what the future is going to hold for the Broncos. If is next year going to be a rebuilding year? I hate to think that Elway would allow that to happen. To be at a position where you're looking at a whole new team. I don't know. With Manning's contract, so he has guaranteed money. So if he doesn't retire by March, I think it's March 5th, his contract's guaranteed for next season. That's $20 million gone. But he's guaranteed the $5 million regardless. So we don't have a whole lot to move with right now, just because we don't know what's going on. So I really hope. I know we've got C.J. Anderson for another year. I really hope that we throw him some more money, because the kid definitely earns it. He deserves it. Super fantastic. I think he's the future running back for the Broncos. I think I think Monty Ball is gone. I don't see him staying with the Broncos. I think we'll keep Anderson, and we'll keep Ronnie Hillman. But I think I even forgot his name. Our center. He's terrible. I forgot his name, but I just know that he's terrible. And Manny Ramirez is not good at the position that he was moved to during the the middle of the season. So he needs to get moved back to guard. So there's just too many different things going on right now that the team somehow lost its identity throughout the season. We came in with this just these lofty expectations after what happened last year. All the offensive records that were broken. I'll say it. I think that it's the best offense in NFL history. I don't see any other offense being able to reproduce what the Broncos did last year. But how do you come back from that? And then just I don't know. Has Manning lost his passion for the game? I don't know. Somewhere in the middle of it all, the passion, the desire was gone.
A lot does hinge on what happens with Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm. So if he stays, that's great. But what Peyton Manning are we going to get?
Yeah.
Is an injured Peyton Manning better than a healthy Brock Osweiler? I don't know, because we haven't seen hardly any action from Osweiler. And what little action, he got his very first touchdown as a Bronco the last game of the season. So, I hope we keep Virgil Green, fantastic tight end. He's the kind of tight end that can do the blocks, but can also make some action happen on the field. I don't see us. I see Julius Thomas gone. He's been riddled with injuries, and I think he's also lost some passion. So I hope that we keep Virgil Green and we get another knockout tight end to complement him.
What does the future hold for Wes Welker?
He's gone. Oh, yeah. He needs to retire. I don't know if it's the concussions or he was almost non-existent this season. I don't remember any fantastic plays or anything. He just needs to hang it up. I know that must be hard for him because he never got that other Super Bowl just like Manning. But I think he needs to. I don't think he's coming back. I think he'll retire.
Well, it's going to be a very, very interesting offseason for the Broncos. Sonja.
Yes, ma'am.
The Detroit Lions.
My Detroit Lions.
Nice young nucleus going on there. Joe Bell really had a nice season.
Very impressed with him.
Is Reggie Bush done with the Lions, and what do you think is going to happen? What can they use from this season and build on? Obviously, the Sue question is big, right?
Yeah, Sue is huge. Sue is huge, and I think the fan base right now is 50-50, but Mayhew has come out and stated, we got to get him back. And so that makes me feel good. A lot of people are like, well, does Sue even want to be here, blah, blah, blah. he's a hard guy to read, so we don't really know. But I think deep down inside that he does probably want to come back. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And if he's not back, just give me a day or two, guys. That's all. But if he goes any place, not Chicago, out of the division. He just has to be out of the division. That's all I care.
What about Nick Fairley? What's the future hold for Nick Fairley?
Yeah, Nick Fairley's contract was not picked up again, so he is a free agent at the end of the year, and really people aren't really talking too much about him. Most people are just saying, what if we just, I think they're pretty much just kind of counting him as gone. Yeah. And if we are lucky to get both of them back, that'd be great, but I have a strange feeling Fairley probably won't be back with us. Another person whose contract is up this year is Dominic Raiola, our center.
And I know you're so sad about that, Sonja.
Broken up.
We'll have to have a cry party.
I'm going to have a big, huge cry party and a lot of wine. And I don't even drink wine like that. Oh, no. But, yes, his contract is up. If we can get our offensive healthy again and hopefully a new center, Travis Swanson, our draft pick from last year, should be able to come in, because I did think he started that game where Raiola was suspended. And he did a pretty decent job. He did get injured in the playoff game, but it wasn't that serious of an injury. So he should be back, and hopefully, new blood. Let's get some new blood in here. Dominic's been here for a long time. He's been a douche. It's time for him to go. It's time for Mr.
He's had a very eventful career with the Detroit Lions. We'll just
we'll have
say
to
that and leave it at that. All right, real quick. It's not just isolated to the playoffs, but it's been a big topic of conversation in the playoffs, and that is controversial officiating. This is an unfair question to ask because I know which one Sonja's going to pick. Well, Sonja might have two to pick from, but I want to get you guys to weigh in on what you think was the most controversial officiating decision. And by decision, that can be either a call that they made or a flag that they picked up or what have you. And Sonja, I'm going to start with you. You can feel free to pick your own. That's cool.
Okay. Again, I'm just going to go with the flag that was picked up, not once again just because it was against us, but just who does that? Like I said, I understand they do pick up and say, you know what, not a foul, things like that, but this was so pretty much blatant and just in your face, like, never mind, just going to pick that up, didn't mean to do it, and you don't get any response. And, Coach Caldwell wasn't even impressed with the response that he got from the league the next day. So I think that was probably just the what the heck part of it. It's just like, who does this? Who does that? And, the next week in the Dallas game from this past Sunday, the process, got to complete the process. Mm-hmm. And, we as Lions fans know that all too well. And that we call it the Calvin Johnson rule because, he didn't complete the process. And when is a catch, not a catch? And so, those are just very different rules. And those are the ones that just make me go, And again, just picking up the flag, I don't understand why you just pick it up out of nowhere. But that's
it's very strange. And you're right, the lack of an explanation is very telling in terms of that particular call. Leora, what about you? Which it's
definitely the Detroit Dallas game, but even then, when that call was, when that flag was picked up, it was shocking, yes, but it wasn't the end of the game. When Romo threw that last touchdown, there was an obvious face mask that was not called, and that I couldn't believe, and then that would have stopped that touchdown from happening, and they would have had to kick a field goal. So that could have easily changed the entire course of that game. And I was seeing pictures of it all over Twitter. It's like, here, this big circle, that's a face mask, and it was blatant, it was obvious, and so it's just how do you have two major f-ups in the same game? It's just shocking to me. And the whole thing with Des Bryant, you know, the got to complete the
process.
You know, karma. Sorry, you know, I make it very well known I'm not a big fan of the Cowboys. So it was no love lost on my part. I thought it, you know, I kind of chuckled a little bit. I'm like, sorry, you know, this was yeah, it might be a dumb rule, but it wasn't a screw up. That the refs actually did their job. So, you know, that you're Des Bryant and you had to try to get the touchdown and not just secure the darn ball and go down at the 2-yard line. So, you know, you got to look at yourself a little bit and internalize that and be like, yeah, maybe I should have just stopped being an overachiever or an ego master and just, you know, secure the ball and go down and get the touchdown on the next play or something. So, you know, I thought that was funny. Sorry.
Gwen, what about you? Which one stands out in your mind?
Well, I apparently don't have many ill feelings towards the Cowboys like Leora does. Because I thought that was a fantastic catch. I thought that was a very controversial call. We had this discussion at the gym today because there was Cowboys.
Oh, yeah?
And of course, he was like, that was a catch. It was controlled. That, and then, and I can't even remember who the ball was thrown to, but the one where it was obviously had hit the ground and he caught it, kind of scooped it up off of the ground. And who was that? I can't even remember who it was. So those were...
I don't remember either.
I was about to say, I can see it in my head, but I can't remember who the player is.
Angle, and then like it looked like he just scooped it, and then the other angle looked like he caught it. So it was just whatever angle, but they called that a catch.
Was it Randall Cobb?
Jesus,
I can't remember.
Google.
I can't remember.
I've got to go with Gwen. I think it's the Des Bryant thing to me, because to me that was just so clearly a catch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what more you can do to complete the process unless he just pulls his pants down and moons the ref. I'm done now. You know, I mean, come on. I mean, come on. So what can be done to fix this problem? Obviously, the NFL has an officiating issue. It's been bad for several years now. I think it's getting worse. Maybe it's because we have so much access to technology and we can see how bad it is. But what can the NFL do to fix it? Sonja, I'll start with you.
Possibly getting full-time officials and not just, you know, part-timers who are doing other things, you know, in the off-season, things like that, but, you know, really get a good core of full-time NFL officials who are studying, you know, reading up on rules, trying to get things consistent. I think that would probably be at least a good start.
Leora?
You know, during the playoffs, I think it's really dumb to be breaking up these officiating crews. You know, they work together all throughout the season, and then they all get broken up, and you get your VIP or your star, you know, refs, and they're the ones who get to go to the playoffs. But they don't work together, so they don't know how to work together well. And so you got one ref who sees a call something completely different than from another ref, and that's because they're not used to working together. And just like what, you know, what happened with that flag that was picked up, there were refs that were like not agreeing with each other. So I just can't believe that wouldn't happen if it's the same officiating crew that work together through the regular season. And I also like the idea of a centralized officiating system like they have in hockey. Is it hockey or the NBA? Where it's, you know, you have for the booth reviews or for reviews. I think a centralized like officiating, you know, headquarters that does all of the reviews. I think that takes away some of the bias that there might be on the field.
All right, Gwen?
Watching the Dallas game, even when the announcers are saying, this officiating crew here, they're not all all-stars, just some of them are. So when you can say that about your refs, that's a problem. Like, you have the good ones, and then you kind of have the little bit okay ones. They should all be that good. And it should be a full-time thing, and they shouldn't just be going home and sitting on the couch during the off season and not learning anything new or working on anything new. And maybe they all should be working together. So completely don't, they get stuck with the same people, which is great, and then you can work together, but then what if that's not really a good thing?
Right.
Because it should be a team, and they're so I don't know. Maybe nobody's challenging each other to be better because they're just so used to being with the same people, and they're going to be making the same calls, and it's like, okay, kind of thing. I don't know. It just they're a team too, I guess, but they should all be equal, and I don't know.
I think that for me, I wonder where the accountability is. It's such a secretive process anyway. What happens when an official screws up. I agree. I think that they should be full-time employees. I think that they should be fined when they make a mistake, just like an NFL player is fined. I think that there should be requirements about weight. They should have to be in shape to be able to run up and down and be able to do. Then their eyes have to be checked and have to be, because look, they got some old dudes out there that I ain't entirely sure can see shit.
Say it.
I'm just being real here.
Agreed.
So I think that there has to be a better system in place, because it has to be better. I mean, it can be better. The product right now is bad, and it needs to be better. And you can say that about the NBA as well, but that's a different subject and a different sport. So we're not going to go.
Get fined or whatever, then they also should be re-educated or retrained. Because there's
they should have to write on a chalkboard. I will not.
I will not pick up a flag. I will not pick up.
I will understand what completing the process is. I will watch film of catches so I get my head out of my ass and call it right.
I like the idea of continuing education classes or some kind of certifications. So they have to be held accountable. They have here's my certificate and I passed, and so I.
Uh-oh.
We lost Leora again.
Yeah, you should do that.
Well, I mean, Sonja works in the hospital, but I work with,
Stupid Google. Sorry.
No worries. We lost Leora again.
I'm back.
Doctors or EMTs and stuff, and we have to report when something is wrong and something happened in the field that shouldn't have. If they did, and they get talked to and they get re-educated, and these are freaking doctors have had lots and lots of training, but they still have to get re-educated on things.
Oh gosh, yes. Every year nurses have to get re-educated, mandatory educated. You got to do all the stuff all over again.
Hear it a million times in their career, but you still have to hear it, because guess what? I teach them how to do medical coding, and the same ones that I've been working with for 16 years are the same ones that I have to talk to every year for 16 years. So it's just re-educating. You do have brain farts, and you do, people get older, and they're like 150 years old running down the field with these 20-year-old guys.
And the game is getting faster. The guys are getting bigger, stronger, faster. It's hard to keep up with them. Jeez. I mean, these poor guys can't even probably keep up with their own grandkids, let alone these 20-something NFL players.
Right. So.
Yeah. Well, hey, Raj, call us, baby. We got
a lot of stuff to talk about, Raj.
Yes, I like that idea.
To talk about.
Was it the Dallas game or the Green Bay game that he was actually sitting in the stands and not in a box? Did anybody else notice that?
No.
Big game.
Must have been the Green Bay.
Stands like a normal person, all bundled up, and not in a skybox. I just thought that was strange. That was
who was that?
Roger Goodell.
Oh, yeah.
Lady. I don't know his wife.
Well, yeah, and then the VP of officiating was hanging out on the Cowboys party bus like the day before, something like that.
No, actually, from what I saw, I thought it was in August that he was hanging out with them.
See, that's unseemly.
Yeah. That's a little bit of a conflict of interesty. Like, I get it, but conflict of interesty. Just saying.
Yeah.
Screams.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the hour always goes by so fast, but it's been a fun time. Welcome back. Happy 2015. So excited to talk to you ladies who so much about your teams, and you're so passionate about that and about the games. So we're going to have to get Gwen and Leora back on here because we've got free agency just right around the corner. A lot of coaching changes are coming down the pike. And then the draft.
The draft.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It is. We got to start a mock draft, you guys. We should do that.
Yeah.
Yes. Great idea.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, Gwen, bring you back in and let you tell everybody once again who you are, where they can find you on social media, and are you working on any season-ending articles for NFL Female?
Yes, I'm Gwen. I'm the official fan reporter for the Baltimore Ravens for NFL Female. You can find me on Twitter at Gwen2475. And I'm still gathering my thoughts on my last
I am too.
article.
You and me both.
Partly, about the crappy loss to the Patriots, and then just I don't know, maybe it'll be 2 articles of just like the wrap up of the year and where we started and where we ended. And, so that might be it. That might be 2 articles.
I like it. Leora?
Yes, I am Leora, and I'm the official fan reporter for the Denver Broncos for NFL Female. You can find me on Twitter at LeoraKitty78. And I was getting ready to type up my article yesterday, and then everything blew up. So I'm just I needed a day to gather my thoughts, figure out how I was going to spin it, do a season wrap up, and then I'm like, what's going on? So I need to give it another day or two, and there's just a ton of stuff I got to do some research on, and then this could end up being a novel by the time I'm done with it. So
stay tuned because there could be a lot more coming down.
Yeah, I might have to do some alerts or some breaking news pieces that I can slap together in 5 minutes or something. So I'll probably end up doing what Gwen's doing, which is 2 different articles. So
we might have to arrange a face-off between you and Gwen. And
Kubiak. Yeah, we'll have to get some sock and bop and boppers or whatever they're called, and just go at it.
There you go.
Like virtually.
All right, Sonja.
All right, I'm Sonja. I'm the official fan reporter for the Detroit Lions. You can find me on Twitter at mom2 3RN. You can also find me writing for NFL Female, obviously, about the Detroit Lions. I just submitted my article last week for the season wrap-up, kind of, and the playoff wrap-up. And, as things pop up, I will go ahead and be writing about stuff. But you can also find me on A Good Sports Hang, writing with me and my crew there about any and all things sports related. So make sure you check them out, too, along with us, of course, at NFL Female.
All right, well, I'm Sharona. You can follow me on Twitter at Sports by Sharona. You can find me writing and co-hosting the Zone Blitz with my girl Sonja for NFL Female, and I also write for Pro Player Insider, so check me out there. And check me out on my website, www.sportsbysharona.com. Major shout out to Liz. Happy New Year. I hope that Liz had a wonderful holiday season. As always, we thank you for giving us the opportunity to host this wonderful show and to be associated with so many wonderful other female sports fans. We are back. We'll be back next Tuesday night with another great show. We're going to talk about the Niners. We're going to talk about the Miami Dolphins, so stay tuned in for that. You've been watching the Zone Blitz. Have a very pleasant evening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Adios.